In the heart of Gwanak-gu, Seoul, a neighborhood pizza shop became the backdrop for a tragedy that would shake the community. What began as a routine business dispute ended in blood, leaving 3 people dead and a city grappling with the hidden tensions of the franchise industry. Tonight, we delve into the events of September 3rd, 2025, at a pizza franchise in Jeowon-dong, exploring not only what happened, but why. And we will ask, when financial stress and betrayal intertwine, how fragile is the line between survival and catastrophe? On the morning of September 3rd, emergency calls sent police and paramedics racing to a quiet street in Jeowon-dong. The address, a small neighborhood pizza shop. Inside, the scene was chilling. The smell of dough and tomato sauce still lingered, but it mingled with something far darker. 3 victims, 2 men and 1 woman, lay sprawled against the floor, each fatally wounded. Pools of blood spread across the tiles, stark under the fluorescent lights. The dead included a 49-year-old corporate liaison from franchise headquarters and a father-daughter team ages 60 and 32, contracted for renovation work. They had come expecting business as usual, not realize that they had stepped into a storm waiting to break. Nearby sat the suspect, 41-year-old Kim, the shop's owner, slumped against the wall, bleeding from self-inflicted wounds. Still alive, he was rushed to the hospital under guard. For investigators, the motive was clear: months of unpaid fees, bitter clashes with headquarters, and a mounting sense of betrayal. The pizza shop had become more than a failing business. To Kim, it was a cage built of debt and disappointment, until financial ruin turned violence. The violence was rooted in disputes over renovation work and franchise demands. Kim had complained of leaks, broken tiles, and poor workmanship, while headquarters pressed him to adopt new menu items and bear the cost of upgrades. Franchisees often pay tens of millions of won for mandatory renovations, a cost that can push struggling owners to the brink. Add to that rising delivery platform commissions and labor costs, and the financial strain becomes suffocating. On paper, these were dry contractual disputes. In reality, they were tinder. Financial pressure mixed with a sense of betrayal, waiting for the spark. The community reeled in shock. Residents expressed belief that such violence could erupt in their neighborhood. One shop owner remarked, "We never thought it would happen here, but running a franchise has become so expensive. Everyone feels cornered." The tragedy sparked broader conversations about the imbalance between franchisors and franchisees. Grief for the victims mixed with anger at a system many believe leaves small business owners vulnerable to both financial collapse and violent despair. Police confirmed Kim as the sole suspect. He faces 3 counts of murder and remains in custody. CCTV, testimonies, and financial records are being examined to reconstruct the path from business disputes to bloodshed. Legal experts note the case could set a precedent, not for excusing violence, but for how franchise disputes and financial accountability are addressed in Korean courts. This was not the first time financial pressure boiled into violence. The Gwanak-gu case highlights a larger problem: the structure of Korea's franchise industry. High startup costs, mandatory renovations, and ongoing fees often leave franchisees with razor-thin profit margins. Industry analysts argue the model overwhelmingly benefits franchisors, leaving owners trapped in contracts that bleed them dry. And when financial strain mixes with personal betrayal, from partners, contractors, or corporate headquarters, the outcome can be explosive. The Gwanak-gu killings were shocking, but they were not unique. Earlier this year in Incheon, a grocery store became the stage for bloodshed. 2 co-owners argued over overdue supplier payments. Then came the snap. One seized a knife and fatally stabbed his 58-year-old partner. The attacker told police he felt cornered after pouring his savings into a failing shop. In Busan, a fried chicken franchise owner lashed out at a headquarters representative after being fined for failing to adopt new packaging. What should have been a bureaucratic reprimand ended in violence. And in Daegu, two convenience store partners clashed over delivery fees. Their quarrel escalated until one was left hospitalized with head injuries. Each case carried the same refrain: financial stress paired with betrayal, turning disputes that belonged in contracts and negotiations into tragedies written in blood. Not all disputes end in violence, but many are laced with the same pressures. Rising delivery costs, mandatory suppliers, and unfair franchise practices drive publicized protests and legal actions. These non-criminal battles matter because they are the conditions where betrayal festers and financial despair grows. They are the quiet preludes to louder tragedies. In Court of the Crane, every crime tells a story, and every story carries the weight of forces beyond the act itself. The Gwanak-gu pizza shop stabbings were not simply the product of rage. They were the final act in a drama of financial strain and betrayal. What began as unpaid fees and forced renovations ended with 3 lives lost. As police pursue justice, the larger questions remain. How do we protect those bound by contracts they cannot escape? How do we prevent financial pressure from curdling into violence? And how much tragedy is born not from malice, but from betrayal and despair? If this story teaches anything, it is that even the smallest financial decisions can carry life or death consequences. When betrayal mixes with debt, the quietest disputes can bleed into legend. Remember to like this video and subscribe to Court of the Crane, where we weigh the shadows behind the headlines and uncover the truths hidden in plain sight. And remember, in the Court of the Crane, even the cost of a menu change can end in blood.